Sandy Says Read, and welcome to the channel. Today we are going to do a review and discussion of creating a character for the stage or life. This book, I'm trying to keep the glare off of it, you guys. This book is by Corin Nemec. He is the actor that you all know from Parker Lewis, from Stargate, from many, many movies. A lot of movies that are coming out here recently in the last year or so that Corin has been a part of. So I saw that this book was available about a year ago, and I wanted to pick it up, I wanted to bring it to you guys here on the channel, and I just didn't get to it. But I had the opportunity to visit with Corin and meet him and grab this book from his table at the SyFy Florida convention back in May 17th, I think. Look at me getting numbers right. Okay, so back in May, I got to meet Corin at his table, visit with him for a few minutes, and he had one last copy left. It's like it was meant to be. So I picked this up and I read it in June. This is now July when I'm filming this. So hopefully the notes I took were good enough to get us through this. Let's start with the specs, as we do here on the channel. This is our indie book spotlight for this week, and the specs are Creating a Character for the Stage or Life by Corin Nemec, published in March 2024. This is 117 pages, plus 14 pages of a foreword, plus a page and a half of New Era Acting Technique, or NEAT, from Manu, Tupou. Chapter 1. Chapter 1, it starts with some history, as a first chapter would do, but I want to have us take a look at pages 2 and 3 specifically here. Throughout this book, Corin is giving us a look at the type of acting method that his mentor, Manu Tupou, taught him, showed him, instilled in him. Okay, so there is this acting method of the New Era Acting Technique that he's going to introduce to us in this chapter. So Manu taught him to always leave your baggage behind before stepping on stage, meaning never bring your problems, your emotional pain and trauma caused by our personal sufferings into the roles that we are bringing to life on stage or in front of a camera. And this might sound a little different from what we hear of actors being taught. We're typically hearing about them being taught about method acting, right? But there's a, I don't want to say a conflict, but there's a difference between what Manu, I'm trying to make sure I say his name correctly because it doesn't roll off my tongue as easily as I think it should. So I might struggle a little bit with this, and I apologize for that. But there's a little bit of a difference between what Manu Tupou is teaching and what we typically hear of in actors learning out there in Hollywood, right? So listen to this. Manu taught us the creationist theory of acting, a sound system of character development that would allow for the creation of a completely false identity for the self to put on, like a suit or mask, a false identity that would be so real that a firm belief in the actor's behavior as being authentic would be well established as fact for not just the performer, but the audience as well. Manu referred to this hypothesis as the blank slate theory. Okay, so what Corin learned and what he uses in his acting methods is to get this blank slate happening. So come to a new role, come to an audition, come to a script reading as a blank slate. Come to it without the baggage. Leave the baggage at home. Leave all that behind and walk onto the stage ready to be new. And I kind of dig that. I kind of like that. It's interesting to think of an actor not showing up with emotional trauma that they're dumping into a role. I like that concept. I like it. Okay. So this is the creationist versus method acting, basically. And we're going to have Corin tell us of Manu's step into filmmaking as well. So let's go to chapter 7, pages 27 through 29. All right. Oh, and I made some notes for you guys. Director George Roy Hill saw Manu's photo. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this director saw his photo, Manu Tupou's photo, hanging in, was it an airport? Yeah, hanging in the airport with the rest of the Fijian royal family. That's right, Manu is part of the royal family. And he went, so George Roy Hill went to find him. Because basically he saw this prince, this fellow, saw his picture and was like, oh my God, he would be perfect for this role in this movie I'm doing. Went to find him. And when Manu said, yeah, okay, I'll be in your film, I'll be in this movie, he saw other actors and the way that they were doing this method acting. And he saw them basically descending into like madness. And he didn't want that for himself. And he didn't quite, I'm paraphrasing a lot here. He didn't want that for himself, and he didn't see how that was sustainable. So let's go to page 27. And I'm going to read quite a lot for you as we do in these reviews. I'm going to read some passages to give you a flavor of Corin's writing style, as well as explain to you Manu's step into acting and into the filmmaking world. Manu chose to remain in the Western world, to continue his obsessive love of acting and understanding what acting is, what it means to be an actor. It was during his early years in New York that he witnessed such devastating results in the application and use of method acting as prescribed by Stanislavski and popularized in America by Lee Strasberg. Manu saw artists going mad, trying to create true and vivid emotions and personalities for their characters by drawing on every manner of insanities they had at their disposal, throwing away any common sense of morality or ethical pretext to their behavior. They, much like childish Aleister Crowleys of the stage, delved into their darkest reaches of their shadow self to draw from their basest nature, using this dark energy as their foundation for character development and emotional authenticity in their portrayal of complex identities. Eventually, any real character the actor had left of themselves would be abandoned to this newly formed egocentric personality complex, which can, over time, become solidified in its belief that they, as the actor, the interpreter of the play, are far more important and valuable to the overall story than just their performance alone, which is an incorrect assumption. The actor is only as valuable as their performance, not the other way around. Keep a little bit further down the page. Well, and so he's talking again about, the blank slate. You want to bring the blank slate, but these actors weren't necessarily doing that. The actors that Manu was seeing weren't necessarily bringing their blank slate to their performances. As Manu came to this realization, he had a dream, one that took him back home to Fiji, where he saw his mother standing in the shallow waters of the expansive and endless ocean with sharks swimming all about her. But this was not just a dream. It was also a memory. It was a spiritual ritual, a legendary custom to feed the sharks and commune with them, to honor them. But as a small child standing on shore watching from the safety of the beach, it was traumatizing and frightening to Manu. How could it be that someone he loved so much could stand amongst those deadly flesh-eating beasts, especially in their own watery environment, and not be as petrified as he was? But there she was, his wonderful and beautiful mother, singing to the sharks some ancient tribal song, petting them as they passed closely by. This is when the dream turned into a nightmare. Manu suddenly found himself falling into a deep well where he grasped onto a vine growing from a small crevasse in the crumbling stone wall. Clasping onto it for dear life, Manu was dangling above infinite darkness. He could hear the growl and rough pacing of some primordial beast beneath him, a savage creature salivating for his bones to crush between vice-like jaws. Terrified, Manu desperately pulled himself up the vine until he reached the crack in the wall it grew from. But here his situation became even more dire. Inside that craggy space was a tiny white mouse, a harmless little rodent, chewing away at the vine, gnawing it down to its breaking point. You'll have to get the book to see what else happens there. But that is vivid imagery that Manu imparted to his actor students, and vivid imagery that Corin feeds to us as well. All right, let us go back to my notes here and look at chapter 5. Oh, and tension. In chapter 5, we see good tension in the hero character. Hold, please. I'm going to page 18. Hold on. I'll get there, you guys. On page 18, we have good tension. And I also want to, I've written some notes out here on the side, Calhoun in Place of Bones. There's a movie called Place of Bones that was released, did I write down when? Released August 23rd of 2024. Corin was an actor in this movie. Corin played the character of Calhoun in Place of Bones. And let's see, in 1876, a mother and daughter living on a remote ranch fight for survival against a band of ruthless outlaws. Heather Graham was the mother character in that movie. And Calhoun is one of the outlaws that she sort of kind of rescues during that movie. And the tension that happens with that hero Calhoun is something that came to mind as I was reading this passage about good tension that Corin gives us. Good tension is the social and chronic condition of the hero, in that socially they may be extremely optimistic and constantly desiring to do the right thing, but chronically they are uncertain and easily swayed by the other's opinions. But in the end, they always make the best choice for the maximum benefit of others. Tension, as defined by my teacher Manu, is energy going to places where it is neither wanted nor needed. Now, I did see, how did I write this? I saw a warning in chapter 13 against letting tension or conflict get a foothold or have a foothold too strongly, I guess we might say. So let's go to page 49 in chapter 13 and take a look at that. Okay, Corin says, once you have compromised yourself, there is no turning back. Rarely does an artist who sells their soul for fame ever get the benefit of sanity, peace of mind, and spiritual well-being in their dotage. Our integrity is all we have that tethers us to our higher self, and it is in living an inner ethical life guided by a focused, outer moral compass that we eventually find ourselves on the shoreline of paradise, weighing anchor. And I wrote out to the side, for me, don't use generative AI for my books. I mean, that's going to be my tension, my conflict point is there are so many folks out there now, like in indie publishing circles and in self-publishing circles that are being tempted by generative AI being the easy way out. And boy, I just don't see it as an easy way out. I see it as a Jordan I don't want to cross. I see it as a very negative thing, as atrophying my brain, as bad. Let's go to pages 51 and 52. Corin says, we too have infinite creative potential with the powers of good and evil at our disposal. But at rest, in a meditative state, detached from worldly actions, we cause no harm nor benefit to our surroundings. And thus we accomplish the goal of the eternal, to have zero overt effect on the outside world, maintaining only a state or condition of sublime creative causation. In this way does good forever conquer evil, allowing for the universe to continue manifesting in a constructive and efficacious process that maintains a net positive outcome for the greatest number of living things in the known universe as we actively fractalize into existence, manifesting as vibrating pins of shining light that guides us towards some unknown infinity, anchored deep in the boundless unknown of the cosmic mind. And in that, it's a little heady right there, okay, but I'm seeing the dichotomy between the good and the evil, the tension and the relaxation that he's bringing into this. And we go to page 55, and he's still discussing that higher self, that good versus evil, influencing the higher self. He says, here again, our dignity must never bend. And in this way, we will not compromise ourselves to achieve the goal most desired by the shadow self or egocentric personality complex. Never bending for anyone is all the power we really have. For in the great battle of wills, the ego relies on others bending to its desired needs and wants, and the nihilist is willing to go to any lengths in order to achieve their goals, be it personal compromise or forcing of others to behave against their own wills for the gain of another. Again, this is satanic by nature. And this dying to self concept is happening again on page 83. Page 83. Manu dictated that in order to begin our creative process, we must first find our 0 point, where we are causeless and without effect, ineffectual yet infinitely capable of action and behavior, full of creative potential, but without actualizing our causative abilities, having an infinitude of choices, but making none at all. And by that dying to self, but with that 0 point concept that we have there, we go to page 114, where the sentient being, here we go, the sentient being's higher self versus our lower nature is involved in thinking for ourselves, okay, in avoiding groupthink, avoiding doing what everyone else wants you to do, but not compromising, basically. That's, I think, what I want to say. Let's go on page 114 and here. Never allowing our minds to be swayed by anything other than what we accept as being authentic to our sentient nature in its raw and purest expression is what gives us our infinite flexibility in the face of the many elementals we are up against. You guys, I enjoyed reading through the creating a character for the stage or life. I enjoyed reading through Corin's thoughts, and I don't want to say it was advice. I never felt like he was advising anyone. I felt like Corin was presenting the elements, the information that he learned from his mentor. That's exactly what he was doing. He was presenting the information, presenting it in a manner that was very cut and dry, very to the point, very, here's what it is, just expressing, here's what I learned, here's how you can use it too. And I thought that was pretty nice. I thought that was a service to his fellow man. I liked it. You guys, creating a character for the stage or life, a nice tribute to Corin Nemec's mentor, and a nice way to just take another look at how we as humans can deal with that dichotomy, that tension that's happening in our lives, whether we're going on stage or not. Thumbs up for creating a character in our everyday lives. Thank you for tuning in.